In the very heart of Central America lies Costa Rica, an incredibly culturally and biologically rich nation. Its most populous city, and the capital, is San Jose, home to around 342,000 people. The people of Costa Rica are of mainly European descent, with a few mestizo features, primarily having ancestry from Spain. Costa Rica was first permanently settled by the Spanish in 1563, and it declared its independence from Spain in 1821. Geographically, Costa Rica has coastlines on both the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean. Its terrain consists of mountains, plains, and many volcanic cones, some of which are active volcanoes. It takes pride in its astounding biodiversity, hosting around 4% of all known species on Earth. Many of these species are found within the national parks, wildlife refuges, and reserves, which make up around 28% of Costa Rica's land. The vast amount of flora and fauna has attracted millions of tourists from all over the world, with tourism being one of Costa Rica's main industries, along with agriculture. Costa Rica is categorized under high human development according to the Human Development Index, which calculates a score based off of life expectancy, expected schooling years, average schooling years, and gross national income per capita. Costa Ricans take pride in a strong education system, accessible healthcare, and the clean environment, all of which were made possible by the abolishment of the Costa Rican Armed Forces, which we will be discussing further. In order to understand how Costa Rica was able to get rid of its military, it's important to examine the political systems and maneuvers that helped to get to that point. In many Latin American countries in the mid to late 20th century, military regimes held power, many of which were brutal and would kill anyone who opposed them without thinking twice. This, however, was not mirrored in Costa Rica, and it has had a relatively long-standing tradition of democracy. In 1948, however, former President Rafael Angel Calderón Guardia was making a team to improve Social Security and working conditions, but they attempted to stop Otilio Ulate, a Social Democrat, from taking a seat in office. This led to José Figueres Ferrer, a well-known landowner, to create the National Liberation Army, which would eventually become the National Liberation Party. The militia would kickstart a government rebellion, leading to a civil war, killing a few thousand Costa Ricans. Throughout the war, the Costa Rican government's army was very disorganized, needing much backup help from the Communist People's Vanguard Party. However, this was not enough to topple the National Liberation Army's rebellion, and the government forces would be forced to leave Costa Rica along with the Communist Party involved. Figueres briefly took power as a result and created a new constitution that disallowed the creation of the armed forces. This move was incredibly unique, not just for Costa Rica, but for the world at large. It was extremely uncommon for a country, especially for one as big as Costa Rica, to get rid of its armed forces. While some viewed this action as dangerous and irresponsible, it actually had plenty of positive outcomes down the line. This would prevent the installation of military dictatorship and martial law, along with international military conflict. After the uprising, the nation became well known for its stable democracy, with ruling political parties often alternating. As a matter of fact, in order to prevent corruption as much as possible, consecutive re-election is prohibited, and both presidents and legislative members must wait for 8 years before running again. Many of these politicians end up going back to the private sector or work for their political party in another way. Additionally, instead of a plethora of political appointments like many other countries in Latin America, Costa Rica's public sector workers are hired based on merit. Beyond politics, there are many different aspects of society that were changed for the better after the military's abolishment. Because Costa Rica does not have a military, it is able to redistribute its budget to societal necessities such as healthcare. The Ministry of Health spearheads the healthcare system within the country, and they are in charge of research, planning for the future, and keeping proper sanitary conditions within the country. Every citizen is able to access healthcare, with both the universal healthcare system, known as Caja, and the private healthcare system as solid options. Caja is well renowned around the world, being ranked as the best healthcare system in Latin America and the 36th best in the world. Costa Ricans pay less for treatment than here in the United States, and the healthcare system gives full coverage to the people for a monthly tax based off of their income percentage. As for the private healthcare sector, it's a tad more expensive, yet still at a good price, but the wait times are much shorter. The life expectancy is 80.94 years of age, which is the highest ranked in Latin America and ranked 35th in the entire world. Not only is every Costa Rican able to access healthcare, but the education system is also highly widespread. Just over a fifth of the national budget is spent on public education, and the government takes its initiatives for learning very seriously. The literacy rate is incredibly high, with almost 98% of people being able to read. By UNESCO standards, that means that the nation is free of illiteracy. Children attend primary school for 6 years, and students are required to wear a uniform in order to minimize conflict between children of different economic classes. Secondary education also lasts for 6 years, with the first three revolving around a general liberal arts education and the latter years dedicated to a specialization in a trade or a field of academia. The educational system in Costa Rica is designed to prepare students for jobs not just within the country, but all over the world. After graduating from secondary school, some Costa Ricans will take it a step further and attend university. Costa Rica has over 100 institutions in a country with just under 5 million people, attracting not just young Costa Rican students, but people from all over the world. It is also home to the United Nations University for Peace, which offers courses and degrees that promote world harmony. Several private institutions are also affiliated with religion, which we will be diving into next. Religion is an important aspect in the lives of many Costa Ricans, with Roman Catholicism being the primary affiliation. About one out of every three recognized holidays in the country are religious holidays, like Christmas, Easter, and days that celebrate various patron saints. On August 2nd, Lady of the Angels Day is celebrated, and many people take part in a pilgrimage to Cartago, where she allegedly appeared. Religion has not only been established by the people, but validated by the government. Within the Costa Rican Constitution, it is stated that Roman Catholicism is the state religion, but religious freedom still exists. There are plenty of towns and cities within Costa Rica that are named after saints, and many of them are celebrated throughout the year. Going back to the public school system, there is a controversial religious education class that is taught in each school. Although the backlash is plentiful, the foundations of the country are too deep rooted in religion for the class to be abolished nationwide. Despite some of these religious establishments, though, its people are not among the most religious within Latin America. In fact, although it does have a significant number of devout Catholics, the country is known to be one of the least religious when it comes to actual practice in all of Latin America, where the proportion of practicing Catholics can be very high. As a matter of fact, less than half of Catholics are truly practicing, and the others are affiliated with the church due to family reasons, and shockingly, over a tenth of the population has stated that they are not religious at all. There has also been an increase in evangelical Christians in Costa Rica, a pattern being seen throughout much of Latin America. It is important to note that if this number continues to increase, we may see a prevalence of more social conservatism within Costa Rican politics due to the socially right-wing ideology of evangelism. Interestingly enough, there are other denominations of Christianity that have made an impact on the country at large. For example, when a group of Quakers established a settlement in the mid-20th century, they ended up founding the Monteverde Cloud Forest Biological Reserve, which is now one of the most popular tourist sites in the entire country. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints also stations some missionaries in Costa Rica, establishing a population of around 50,000 Mormons. Costa Rica's uniqueness makes it stand out as a cornerstone of peace and stability in the Western Hemisphere. With no military, a strong support for various social needs, and a deep love for its landscape, this is a country that has thrived in the past and continues to do very well in the present. Its astounding successes continue to instill a strong sense of pride in the ticos and ticas, not just currently living in Costa Rica, but also those who are living in other countries. We can see this as Costa Rica ranks first out of 140 countries on the Happy Planet Index. This comes to show that its strong initiatives towards peace are working for both its people and its government, and it does not deal with plenty of social and political issues that many Latin American nations deal with today. It has managed to stay out of conflict with almost all of the world over the past century, and the current situation looks as if that will continue to be the case for the future. While many people in the United States have heard of Costa Rica due to its beautiful landscapes, Its history, cultural traditions, and society are something that are often overlooked by many common people here. For those who know about this country, though, it is often the subject of their admiration, and it looks as if it will continue to be a vibrant atmosphere of joy and peace for years to come.